Howdy, folks. I'm pure-hearted pumpkin pie, peacefully placating persnickety parsnips.
I'm Amber.
And here are more parsnickety parsnips for us to placate because they are grumbling about what other than the ants. It's not good. It's not a good situation.
Although you must be living in a warm climate if you have an ant problem at Thanksgiving.
Oh, I meant the ants who are about to eat them.
Oh, that makes sense.
Let's get started. All right, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Throwing Away My Stepdaughter's Dress? I'm married to a man who has a daughter, Ella, a 10-year-old female from a previous marriage. Ella's mom and I don't see it eye to eye, and if I'm honest, Ella and I don't get along very well either. She's a bit spoiled and tends to get her way with her dad, which often causes tension between us. Recently, Ella wore a dress her mom had bought for her. It was an expensive designer dress, and she wanted to wear it to a family gathering at my husband's parents' house. I didn't think that it was appropriate for the event. It was a bit too mature, in my opinion, and I felt that it would attract unnecessary attention. I told her to change, but she refused, saying that her mom told her that it was a special dress. When I insisted, she threw a temper tantrum, making us late, and we ultimately left with her in the dress. A few days later, I was cleaning up around the house and I saw the dress lying in Ella's room. Frustrated by the fuss that it had caused and not wanting another incident, I threw it out. I didn't think that it was right for her to wear it to future events if it was going to create such a fuss, and I didn't see any reason for it to stay. Later on, Ella went looking for her dress. I was in the kitchen when I heard her yelling from her room, asking where it was. Her voice grew more frantic as she rummaged through her wardrobe and even her drawers. My husband went up to see what was going on while I stayed back, listening as she told him that she couldn't find her special dress. When he asked if I had seen it, I admitted that I had thrown it out, keeping my tone calm. Ella's reaction was instant. She burst into tears and stormed out of the room, sobbing that I hated her and that I had no right to get rid of something that was so important to her. My husband looked visibly uncomfortable, trying to comfort her, but she refused to let him near. She called her mom in tears and explained what happened. That call set off a new round of drama. Ella's mom was furious and demanded to speak to me, accusing me of overstepping my boundaries and trying to interfere with her relationship with Ella by getting rid of the dress. Ella hasn't spoken to me since, and my husband and I had a tense conversation later, where he explained how disappointed he was with how I handled the situation. Now I'm left wondering if I crossed the line. I thought that I was helping to avoid future issues, but I can see how it might have come across as overstepping. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, OP, you are the jerk. Absolutely. First of all, it sounds like this fuss and these future issues are only due to you. Like, she went to the event wearing the dress. OP doesn't state that there were any issues by anyone else. It seems like the issue was she's not listening to me.
Yeah.
Both Ella's parents thought it was fine. Neither of them had an issue with it. And so it wasn't your place to throw it away.
Yeah, that's kind of my feeling as well. I feel like she really overstepped boundaries here, and it just was more about power and control and less about the dress itself. I feel like maybe there was some jealousy going on here. Maybe because, like, why would it attract unnecessary attention at a family event,
Right,
right?
and a 10-year-old.
And a 10-year-old too on top of that. And this is twisted in a lot of ways that OP is painting this. OP needs to go into therapy immediately and start working on some of these control issues, because this is not a way for a well-adjusted adult to act around a child. And if I were OP's husband, I probably would be seriously considering divorce over something like this.
Well, absolutely. I definitely think he needs to take a long, hard look at the relationship. I'm wondering if this is even the first thing, because the way Ella's immediate reaction was like, this was like, you hate me, makes me wonder if she's done other things before that have given Ella the impression. Like, it wasn't, I hate you, you're so mean. It was, you hate me.
Yeah. I mean, this really gives me wicked stepmother vibes.
It seriously does, yeah.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for refusing to bring my daughter a new shirt at school because I was at a hockey game? And Amber wants to read this one.
My 8-year-old daughter went to school today in a sleeveless shirt. It's not against the dress code, and she's worn similar things before without issue. A substitute teacher decided it was too indecent and called me to bring a different shirt. I was already on my way to a hockey game. I play goalie for a local beer league, and people are desperate for goalies, the one person who at least can get away with flaking at the last minute or being late is the goalie. I was offended by the implication that my daughter's outfit was somehow inappropriate. I told the sub that the shirt was fine and I couldn't miss my game and did not appreciate her overstepping her boundaries with regards to the shirt. The sub said that she would have to send my daughter home and that my husband or I would have to pick her up. I laughed in her face and told her that wouldn't be happening. My husband works from home, but I had the car since I was en route to the game and he had no way to pick her up either. The sub ended up making my daughter wear her blazer all day, and now the sub is complaining to the principal, and my husband thinks I should have just brought the shirt and fought the issue or complained to the school board or principal privately later. Am I the jerk?
All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. First of all, it wasn't even violating the dress code. So the substitute had no leg to stand on. I think dress codes can be really ridiculous. And why anyone would care if you can see an 8-year-old's shoulders, like, that is really creepy that the teacher is looking at an 8-year-old in that way.
Yeah, I mean, this is sexualizing a child, right?
Exactly. But then on top of that, like, this wasn't even something that violated the school dress code. This is something the kid has worn before. You know, the substitute teacher was behaving completely inappropriate, and I think OP definitely should talk to the principal and the school board about the substitute teacher's inappropriate behavior.
Yeah.
But I think OP behaved fine in the moment. There wasn't any urgent pressing issue. It wasn't like the daughter broke her leg and needed to go to the hospital.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been different if this had actually been an emergency, but there wasn't an issue here. This was not a problem. This was the problem with the substitute teacher and not OP or OP's child. They decided that they wanted to enforce their own dress code policy, one that was more strict than what the school had, and they don't have the right to do that. That's a school policy, it's not a classroom policy. So I think that OP is absolutely not in the wrong here. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my wife that I find her less attractive now that she's more attractive? For some context, I'm a 32-year-old male and my wife is a 30-year-old female, and we've been together 9, going on to 10 years, married for 8. We have 4 children, starting when my wife was 20. However, our first son passed away. So for most of our 20s, my wife was pregnant or we were raising small children. Obviously, I've always found my wife attractive. Throughout the years, her weight fluctuated and she had a farmhouse style, like long flower dresses, etc. She also never really seemed to care about looks or clothing that much. She's always been into gardening, baking, art, never was into makeup or anything like that. Fast forward to last year and a half, she lost a good bit of weight. She's very stylish now, more form-fitting outfits, and more modern style. Always has a new hairstyle and is very good with makeup. From a conventional standpoint, she is probably more attractive than before, bordering on social media beauty standards. People are always stopping and complimenting her, and she gets free things. If we go to the bar, people are buying her drinks. My family comments on it. Anyways, I brought it up to her that her change in style and whatnot, asking her if she was being her authentic self or just trying to please others. She claims that she's being her authentic self and she didn't know who she was when she was 20, and she spent so much time being a wife and a mother that she never really found herself, but now she is finally choosing to. She asked me what the problem was, and I told her honestly I didn't really like it and I preferred her look and style from before, that I actually found her more attractive before. She called me a jerk and said that if I liked her when she was unhealthy and more depressed, that says a lot about me, that I should be happy that she's finally finding herself. I get it, but at the same time, I feel like she has to understand that I would never have dated a 10 for the reasons coming up now. So, am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, I think OP's the jerk, and that last line is very telling.
Yep.
I think OP needs to get into therapy ASAP to work on these feelings of insecurity. It seems like he wants a wife who is not conventionally attractive, so he doesn't have to worry about people hitting her or hitting on her.
Hitting her, yeah.
Or,
that too.
or the possibility that she might run away from him or whatever. Like, if she's always having kids and being depressed, she can't cheat.
I think that it's kind of gross to rate somebody on their looks on a scale like this. I mean, I don't think that it serves any useful purpose, right? Calling her a 10 is, I think, shows how shallow OP is when it comes to looks. And maybe that's kind of the inverse of what someone might say. Well, if OP thinks that they would have dated her before, and now that she's a 10, she wouldn't. The reason why I reason that this is shallow of him still is because he is judging her based off of her looks and whether or not she would be marriage material based on those looks, right?
Yeah, well, it is that sort of thing, like, and it just, I don't see a good reason for it. Like, sometimes people change and our feelings toward them change, but this isn't just like, oh, I really loved her farmhouse style. This is, I liked her when she was less conventionally attractive because I didn't want to deal with other people finding her attractive.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the root of this. This is what it feels like. It feels like he's saying that I liked her more before when I had to worry less about, being other people competing for her attention.
And like, it may be too that like now he feels like he's being like overshined by her
Yeah.
attractiveness or something like that. Whatever the reason is, I do think probably therapy would help him deal with these feelings in a healthy way, because he's not handling it in a healthy way right now.
No.
And now, granted, it is gross that society privileges looks so much and that people are treating her so much differently now.
Yeah.
Like, that isn't cool. But that's, a society issue that will take a lot of work to change, and it's not her fault.
No, it isn't her fault. And, it isn't someone's fault that they receive undue attention, or not undue, but extra attention, right? People are going to do these kinds of things whether or not someone is attractive, right? And I think that that's really the crux of this, is that she's not going out of her way to, force people into their adoration. These are things that people are doing of their own volition because they are, just doing these things, right?
Well, she wanted to find herself. And I
Yeah.
think, for a lot of people who get married and have kids young, especially, that can become a big issue because her identity has just been mom for like a decade.
Yeah.
And so she hasn't really had time to be herself outside of mom. She's been dealing with all of the, physical and emotional stress of repeated pregnancies. 4 pregnancies in 10 years is a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of hormonal fluctuations. And it sounds like she has not been receiving treatment for any depression that came up as a result of them, that she was just kind of sticking it out. And so I wonder if Opie has been emotionally supportive to her either during this time, or if she was just kind of stuck in a very bad place.
Yeah, well, and I also think that that's a really good point. And it's like, he doesn't seem very supportive here, right? He's not working to build her up. He's trying to tear her down at this point in time and trying to make her conform to the image that he likes the best, right? You should be, as a spouse, trying to help your partner become the best version of themselves, right?
Oh, and I wonder if too, if some of it is that she's more social and bubbly now, because when someone is in a depression, even if they're normally extroverted and social, you're not going to be able to be yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee that if the wife was a jerk and like a vicious, mean, attractive person, she probably wouldn't be getting the kind of attention she's getting now, because people see through that kind of vain shallowness, right? Where if you're like a person who's attractive and mean, then people are going to kind of distance themselves from that. I think personality and confidence goes a long way towards what people view as attractiveness too, right?
Yeah, well, and being social, like, if you're a very quiet person, you tend to get less attention and less notice because, you're not the center of attention. You're not like the social butterfly.
Exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, "For my birthday, I'm a 36-year-old female. My boyfriend, a 43-year-old male, gave me a card that said, 'You're welcome.' How would you all feel if your significant other, a 43-year-old male, showed up on your birthday, gave you a card, and told you that he sat down at the table for 15 minutes thinking of what to write, and all he wrote was, 'You're welcome,' claiming that it was an inside joke that I've never particularly cared for. Then, throughout the day, says, 'I almost got you a pastry, but they were closed. I almost got you flowers, but I didn't know what kind were poisonous to your cat.' At the end of the day, he says that my gift is a gift card for a spa, which I have to research and tell him what I want. We had talked about going to the spa because he's never been and he lives near one. It hadn't happened because the burden of research and picking everything defaulted to me, which I didn't like. I haven't received the gift card, and it hasn't been brought up. My birthday was over a week and a half ago. Would anyone else feel resentment, or am I not just based in reality? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, I would feel upset by this. I don't think there's anything wrong with this. This entire thing shows that he didn't really put a lot of thought into this at all. He threw together a card and then was like, well, I would have, but they were closed. Are there no other bakeries in your area? Well, I would have, but I don't know if flowers are toxic to your cat. Does Google not exist? Can you not research this information? Well, you're going to get a spa card, but like all of this is, I cannot be bothered to learn a single thing about you.
Yeah.
And so I am just going to make you do all the legwork, and then look at me, I go me.
This wasn't a gift, right? Plain and simple. I mean, he put no thought into this gift. I know he claims that he put thought into the card, but thinking about something does not make it a gift. You can't, I mean, I know they say the thought counts, it's the thought that counts, but that literally doesn't mean that your thoughts can manifest as something and you can be like, oh, well, you know, I thought about you having $1 million, right? No one's going to appreciate that unless it's like one of those silly joke cards or something like that, right? Like, yeah, okay, I think about that a lot too, but that's not going to, but I still don't have that money here, right? That's not the manifestation of those things. So he has put no effort into this. He hasn't put any thought into this. And all he's done this entire day is mock her and say, oh, well, I almost got you these things. Well, yeah, I almost left you because you're a terrible partner.
Well, honestly, I think this is breakup territory.
Yeah.
Like, is he like this in other areas? It seems like OP is constantly, having to do the legwork. It sounds like they'd been talking about going to spas before, but he couldn't be bothered to figure anything out. It was all going to be on OP.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder what OP is getting out of this relationship. It seems very single-sided.
It very much seems very single-sided. I have no idea what OP is getting out of this relationship because, quite frankly, I don't think they're getting anything out of this relationship. The way that it sounds like OP has to do all the lead work all the time, right?
Yeah, just like it makes me sad because I read posts. I've read so many posts this week. So they're like, oh, I'm thinking about breaking up with my partner, or like, I don't know what to do. Like, should I, they're so nice. They insert bare minimum, like, oh, well, he's never hit me. So like, he's so great. And it's like someone, needs more than basic human decency to be a good partner.
Yeah, I mean, when you set the bar so low that Satan is tripping on it in hell, I mean, you really have to work on raising it a little bit here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is just like, absolutely, you can do better. Really, you can,
Yeah, and I think this is something as a society we really need to work on teaching people, is that it is okay to expect reasonable things from your partner. It is okay to expect them to love you and respect you and show this in some way, shape, or fashion. Doesn't mean they need to buy you extravagant gifts, but I'm sure if he had made OP a card that, had something important to her and bought her, a bouquet of flowers that he Googled to make sure weren't toxic to her cat, and got her something from the bakery that was not closed, OP would probably have been perfectly happy with that.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What do bread and butter tell around the campfire?
What do bread and butter tell around the campfire? I imagine they tell horrifying stories of bread being toasted, because that would probably be pretty horrifying if I was a piece of bread.
Scary toast stories, yeah.
Oh, I mean...
You were close. You were so close.
I was. Toast stories, like ghost stories.
Yes.
I have to explain the joke out loud here, folks.
But speaking of scary stories, I have a short story coming out in December in the Violent Advents, a Christmas horror anthology. And it's 26 Christmas-related horror stories. All of them have something to do with a Christmas tree. And mine is called There's Gnome Place Like Home for the Holidays. And if you've read my other stories, there may be some familiar characters in there.
Yeah. So I think it was a little short story she put together.
And all the proceeds go to benefit the American Heart Association and British Heart Foundation.
And I have the special guest tea, some matcha. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior folks!
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thank you to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please have it on being the wicked stepmother.
Don't. If you're going to be a step parent, do not be evil to your stepchildren. Treat them like bio children. Be nice.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.